And with concerns about gun violence and police brutality rising in the US, Taser electric shock devices continue to be positioned as a strong alternative for law enforcement. The company has also now expanded into a body camera and footage management business. And Taser's founder and CEO, Rick Smith, told me that it was a personal need to reduce gun violence that inspired him to start the company back in the 90s.
Well, I was right out of school, and I'd gone to grad school in Belgium. And living in Europe, looking back at the United States, I started to view the American gun violence problem maybe a little differently. And two of my friends were shot and killed back here in the States. And I came to believe there's got to be a better way than shooting lead bullets at people to resolve conflict. And said, you know what, I think if we can solve this problem, there's probably an interesting business we could build doing it. So I decided that's what I was going to do after school. And here I am 23 years later.
Well, it worked out very well. Your initial product was aimed at consumers, at the self-defense market. So how did you become the go-to for law enforcement?
That's a really interesting question. So we did start in consumer, and we still sell to consumers because in the United States, there's a huge market for firearms, and that we can save a lot of lives there. But what happened, we learned that consumers were skeptical about our technology. Concerns, does this really work? And if it works, why aren't the police using it? So we actually pivoted to go into the police market, primarily for credibility. We determined, to establish this technology, we've got to win over the professional users. And once the police are using it, then the rest of the world will clearly see that indeed our technology works. And we found such resonance in police that we've spent the last couple decades really just meeting demand as we grew there.
And speaking about the police section, you are now expanding into the body camera business. You've recently secured contacts with the London Police Department, Minneapolis, Baltimore, to name a few. I know you're talking to the New York Police Department. What is driving this? Is this all being driven by the recent controversy over alleged police brutality and excessive use of force?
Yeah, there's a couple things driving it. The short-term driver is indeed what you talked about, the concerns about the police relationship with the community. Now, the vast majority of police do a really difficult job every day, and they do a great job at it. Occasionally, you get someone who does something pretty awful. And the idea of police cameras is, let's show all the good work police do every day. Let's protect the good officers from potentially having false complaints against them, which is a huge problem. The number of people who just sort of complain against police because they're upset, but the officers did the right thing. And the cameras protect that. And it actually prevents officers from maybe losing control and doing something terrible because they know they're recording it.
So you find that having a camera on somebody manages their behavior differently?
Yeah, it doesn't just record behavior, it changes it. A study out of Cambridge University found if you compare two police officers, one with a camera and one without, the police officer without a camera is 2.5 times as likely to use force on people or to be involved in a violent incident.
So clearly this is the future, but in the meantime, the segment of the weapons itself has generated the majority of the revenue, last quarter up 19.5%. Which markets are you seeing the most growth in, geographically speaking? Well,
right now, Europe is a real growth sector for us. I just spent the last 9 months living in Europe and working on the markets there. So some of it's company focus. I think some of it is also, European policing is changing dramatically right now. The immigration problem, the terrorist problems are creating whole new threat vectors. And I have to say, we're quite proud when we see things like the London Metropolitan Police use our Taser to capture one of these, homegrown terrorists attacking people on the subway. So that sort of threat environment is a place where we can come in and make a difference, both with the weapons that are safer and with the cameras that document what's happening.
And what is your strategy for China?
So we're really just getting started in Asia. So the next year is where we'll really start to put more boots on the ground. It's been a little bit challenging because of, frankly, some of the international regulations. We couldn't sell our weapon technology into China, but it's now a market that's open to us with cameras and cloud software. So stay tuned.
Well, law enforcement, traditionally not very quick to take on new tech, not early adopters. How have you addressed that challenge?
Well, that is exactly the problem we're solving. In today's world, you need to have good technology to do your job and do it well. And when we hear our customers are using typewriters, we get really concerned because that's prevalent around the world. Police agencies are using outdated...
People are still using typewriters?
Absolutely, absolutely. They're really using outdated technology. And what we're able to do, one of the real advantages of the cloud is we can say to our customers, look, instead of trying to be a technology company yourself, outsource it. plug into the cloud like we all do as consumers, right? We use email systems. We don't run email servers at home. We plug into Gmail or Yahoo or MacMail, any one of these things. And that's really resonating with our customers where they're saying, you know what? Yeah, we're overwhelmed with technology. We spend a lot of money and we don't have a good experience. I'd rather, as a police officer, have an experience like I do as a consumer where this stuff just works and some technology provider is doing that work for me. And we're just porting that same business model into police, and our customers love it.
Your company pledges that if somebody has to use a taser to protect themselves or a loved one and is forced to then leave the taser at the scene of the crime, that you will give them a new taser. Why make that pledge?
Well, we don't want people worried about, you know, what do I do after I drop this person to the ground? We want them to leave the taser attached to keep that person incapacitated and get to safety. And frankly, this even goes right into the purchasing decision. We want them to have comfort knowing, hey, if I buy this taser and I have to use it, I can get another one. I don't have to worry about, you know, this money being lost if I have to use it to defend myself.
If you like what you just saw, follow us on social media and visit our website, cctv-america.com.